Mike and I met at a sort of a boys' conference at the National Black Theater Festival in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. They give that festival every 2 years, and it's the most black theater you could see in one place anywhere. And it takes place in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, of all places. But Mike is from Fayetteville, North Carolina, and he happened to come down there to talk to the boys. That we had this panel discussion, and he was talking to these boys about his life, and about him doing, I think it was 17 years or something in prison. On a murder charge, as you saw in the film.
Yeah.
And the miracle that actually gave him another chance. And so he was there talking to the boys about that. And I being on Judge Judy, and so I wound up, on this panel discussion. Not so much from a law enforcement point of view, but I was involved with a program called the OK program, which was a black male mentoring program that uses black police officers to mentor young black boys. And so we're up there on that panel discussion. And after we finished the panel discussion, Mike came over to me and told me that he was doing a film about his life. And he asked me to play his father. And, after I got over my initial insult, no, I'm just kidding. I was like, yeah, get the Just for Men gray, and then I'll be your father. But, as an actor, you always want a role that challenges you and that makes sense to you. And when I read the script, it more than made sense to me. So I was like, yeah, absolutely. And, he flew me down to Raleigh, North Carolina, to act in the scene, especially the courtroom scene.
It is a very interesting story. So I spent most of my life as a hip hop artist, and in Durham, North Carolina, where Mike ended up moving to after he came home, and had built enough notoriety that I think we both knew of each other, but hadn't quite met. And I actually had a next door neighbor. Her name is Renee. I moved into a condo downtown Durham and had an older neighbor. I don't know how old Miss Renee is, but she's definitely what I would describe as an elder. And one day I'm walking in the hallways and she's like, "Man, you look just like this guy that I know." And I hear that all the time, right? So, people think all light-skinned guys look alike. So we always, particularly with the curly hair or whatever, aesthetic that we have. I hear that people tell me I look like every mixed or light-skinned guy in America, right? So you name it, whoever's popular at the time, they say, "Man, you look just like him." So I'm like, whatever. But, I'm being kind, and I'm like, "Oh, that's nice. I'd like to meet him." And Mike, I don't quite remember all the details, but I remember
she bought
somehow
the book.
she introduced us. What'd you say?
She bought the book and I think gave you a copy of the book and said,
she gave me a copy of the book first. And first of all, it's a thick book, right? So it takes a long time to read, but the first couple of pages in, I couldn't put it down, right? I was fascinated by his story. And so I'm like, I definitely want to meet him. And, making a long story short, when we met, we were in LA. And I don't know if we had crossed paths before then, Mike, but this is what I remember. I was out in LA for the BET Awards. My manager and team had took me out there, and we were making some moves on the music side. And he rolls up on me. I think we were at LA Live, I think they call that hotel downtown LA. And we're just kind of doing the scene, playing. We did a little radio remote, trying to move our way around. And this guy rolls up on me. And my first thought before he said anything was, damn, this cat does look like me. So I guess I look like him because he's older than me. But you know, so it was the first time that somebody said, "Man, you look just like this guy," and it was actually true. But more importantly than that, we kind of dapped it up, took a picture together, and he told me, "Hey, man, I'm doing a movie on my life. Can you act?" And you know, I was like, I acted a little bit, but I'm a hip hop. I'm a rapper, right? I'm a performer. I've never really acted on that side of the camera. I started a reality show on BET called Music Moguls in 2016, but that's not really acting, right? I mean, it kind of is, you know, you cut, you start over, but it's just improvised the whole time. A scripted film is something I've never done. But I'm also crazy enough to try difficult things. And I was like, well, if you give me a shot, you know, I'll give it, I'll do my best. And fortunately, Mike believed in me and gave me the opportunity to help tell his story. And I did my best to do it justice. Just take this opportunity to say, Mr. Byrd, it was an honor playing in the film opposite you. You know, there's so many actors in the movie who are legends, icons, and people who have been working actors for decades. And you're one of them, Mr. Byrd. So thank you, man.
Man, listen. Playing in a scene with you, man. You know, I feel honored because, man, you did such a bang up job. I mean, throughout the film, and you know, it was an honor, man, to, you know, to just be in a scene with you, and especially the scene. My favorite scene was where I see you laughing at the end when we were all singing.
Yeah, man, that was the best. You know, that was such a dope moment because for me, that was my first kind of ensemble cast experience, and the vibe was so good, and we were just having a great time. I was so nervous, and that helped me kind of calm down. So yeah, we had a blast that day, man. That was super. Yeah,
That
no
was
doubt.
beautiful.
I don't know where to begin. I think the whole process was really interesting, right? For me, this being my first film, one of the things that was striking for me was just how when you're playing a character, how their experiences can have an impact on you, right? Like you kind of embody that character in some ways. I remember the first day we shot in prison, and when the doors closed, you know, I had kind of a physical reaction to that, and just started to think about what Mike must have been feeling and what, you know, so many other millions and millions of people feel locked up in the justice system and how scary that can be. I knew that I could get out. I knew that we would be done filming for the day at some point. But every time I heard those doors lock, you know, I physically reacted to it. And it kind of, you know, it stayed with me a little bit when I got home, and really to this point, it's kind of stayed with me. So it's interesting how, you know, playing a role can have an impact on your actual life. That was one of the more surprising things. Mike and I have a lot in common, right? So Mike's mom is from Germany. My mom is from Germany. Mike's father served in the military. My dad was in the Air Force. I think Mike's was in the Army. Both of our fathers served in Vietnam. Both of our fathers had issues with alcohol. So, you know, my father was an addict, and you know, it had a significant impact on his marriage with my mom, of course. So we had a lot of kind of childhood things in common. I got into music at a really young age, at 7 years old, and it kind of, I think, insulated me from the streets. And so I think that's where our lives differ. You know, Mike took a turn towards the streets, right? It's his outlet, and I fortunately had music at an early age. But man, we have mad stuff in common just in terms of our upbringing. And
when I was doing, I guess, the bad things that I was doing in life as a teenager, and I was selling drugs, there was a addict that came through, and he actually had a camera, the old school VCR cameras that you put the big VCR tape in. And he was like, you know, everybody was laughing around me. I was like, nah, come over here. I was like, how much? I said, what do you want for that? So he told me what he wanted, and I actually gave him a little bit more. And I took the camera and just started filming, just looking around and filming. To speed things up, years later, after doing that 17 and a half years on that life sentence and coming home, I was walking in Durham, and I remember bumping in Christopher Martin, who was from Kid and Play. And he kind of knew my story because he remembered who I was from way back in the day, because I had a rap group and we used to open up for groups that would come to the Cumberland County Arena in North Carolina. And he pretty much was like, look, he said, I'd like for you to get involved with Brand News. I said, okay. I got involved with Brand News, picked up the camera, was doing this, filming that. As things went further, I evolved into, filming with this documentary company, and we ended up doing the Ferguson documentary. And then we did this major documentary out of East St. Louis. So my filming just started picking up. And then I was acting as well, was doing a lot of TV One television shows and stuff like that. And I had decided to write my book. So at that time, I was working at that place called Dame's Chicken and Waffles in Durham, North Carolina. Shout out to Dame, best chicken and waffles. But we were like, I remember I said, look, I done helped you out, Dame. It's time for me to go pursue my dreams. And so I took the book and went on tour with the book. The first place that I went with the book for the book signings was this place called National Black Theater Festival. And there was a lady there that wanted me to get involved with this thing called, what was it called? Man Talk. And she said, hey, you might want to get involved with this. Byrd from Judge Judy is on this panel. And I was like, you mean Byrd the bailiff? I said, man, I'm tired about being around bailiffs. Got on the panel. Byrd was next to me and heard my story as I was telling it on the panel. And he was like, man, you should do a movie. And he doesn't realize that he was actually the culprit behind me thinking about doing this movie.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. And so I was like, damn. I was like, yeah, you're right. I should do a movie. So as time went on and I was doing all these other films and getting involved with things, we ended up doing the documentary, which was a 15-minute version of my life visually so that we can go travel with it. 2 years later, I'm on Man Talk again with the documentary at the National Black Theater Festival with the film version of it, and it premieres there. Byrd actually had another Man Talk, but I had to go screen the film, and so the guy that plays Papa Cooley, Hawthorne, was there that year. Hawthorne came over there and said, man, I'm going over to watch this. Hawthorne supported. So I started building my crew and didn't realize it at that point. And then next thing you know, I'm walking and I see this guy that I recognize, and it's Obba Babatunde. And I was like, start talking to Obba, and Obba hears the story, and Obba is like blown away. So now here I am, shooting this documentary that we did in East St. Louis, and I invited every last one of them out to the premiere here in Beverly Hills, and they came. And so they was like, man, you need to get started on that movie. So they kept inspiring me and motivating me, and then I finally said, you know what? I'm going after the movie. And then I did a GoFundMe, I did a crowdfunding for it, and I raised like $17. And so I was like, what is it with this 17? Like 17 years.
15 was from me.
Yeah, 15 was from him. So I was like, nah, we got to do this. And the first person I approached ended up not being able to do it, but I wanted to go the route of somebody that was relative to me. So I meet this lady named Renee Rand, and she tells me about her neighbor. Oh my God. Like, do you know Joshua Gunn? And I'm like, I said the name. I said, you talking about the rapper that's here in Durham, right? He's like, yeah. I said, yeah, I've seen him on Music Moguls recently, and I know a guy that was talking about him, this young man named Boosie. And so I was just like, she was like, he'll be good for your movie if you want to shoot it. And I was like, yo, you're absolutely right. So ironically, when I come back out here to speak at the BET Experience one weekend, I see him. I don't meet him in Durham. I meet him in Cali out here at the BET Awards.
Right.
And it was then that I realized the whole, like, just the whole scenario to me was like, okay, it's a North Carolina story, but it's a movie determined and meant for Hollywood. So that's what I gathered from it being out here, because I'm bumping into him and he's looking like Hollywood that day. I'm looking like Hollywood that day. And we both small time dudes out of North Carolina. So we figured that, man, it's got to be the omen behind this, man. It's got to be the blessing in disguise. So we got to do this. We got to go after this movie. So slowly but surely we worked through the movie. Then I was able here and there to raise a little bit more money. You know, Byrd came in as an executive producer. Can't forget David Leather Sr., man, who came in and really believed in the vision and got behind me as an executive producer. And then one thing led to another. Lo and behold, about 20 years later, the movie was finished. Now I'm playing. Maybe 2 years. It took about I think a period of 2 years. And when we released it, man, we just let it rip. And ever since then, it's been a movie that I feel like is changing lives of a lot of troubled and at-risk youth, which is where it started. It started with Man Talk. And it was like, man, that's a movie.
For me, having been an executive producer on this project, it has caused me to feel more emboldened to produce some other things. As a matter of fact, my wife and I are producing a play that was in the National Black Theater Festival called The Movement, and we want to produce that play and stream it. At this point in time, getting people to go to plays and to sit in theaters and stuff with this whole pandemic situation going on is difficult. But I've had this vision of actually bringing plays into people's homes where they can see it, where they can view it as the playwright meant the play to be seen, and so we're trying to get our first project off the ground, and we're in negotiations about that right now. And other acting jobs, for a long time I couldn't do it because I was on Judge Judy and I was known as the bailiff on Judge Judy. Well, I done turned my hat around and now I'm a different kind of dude. You know what I'm saying? Brother got to play what a brother got to play. That's sort of that. So,
one of my favorite lines from one of my favorite movies is Scarface's "The world, Chico, and everything in it." So I think I want to do more acting. I want to do voiceovers. I'm releasing a new album this year called Obba, dedicated to my grandmother. I'm doing community activism, economic development work. I want to do it all while we have time here on this earth. I think the COVID-19 pandemic reminded me that our time is limited, right? We don't have forever. So, I'm rocking with Mike Anderson. We're gonna take this film as far as we can go. We want as many people to see it and experience it, and then let's do some more work, right? I wanna do all of the things that God has given me the gifts to do, and I want to do them at the highest possible level.
I'm gonna do more films. I got a project coming up that starts in April. It's a romance comedy. And I want to get right back into acting, because when I was doing this project, I kind of was torn away from the acting scene. Something that I enjoy. I like being other people. And, just using the art itself and the gift of art to change lives, as long as it's impactful. There's so many outlets in the film industry other than just acting or filming, to me, that can change the lives of many people. And that's what I want to be about. I want to find out what it is about filming that can impact other people's lives the way it impacted my life. Because it took me away from, going back down the wrong road, coming home, being tempted by, guys, yo, man, come on, man, get back in the drug gang. We heard you smart now. We heard you much more on point. You on your toes, and we can do this. We can get rich. And I'm like, nah, y'all can keep it. You can have it. I got a different direction I got to go. And, and then, raise my son into the king that he needs to be. For those of y'all that don't know, if you watch the movie, the young man that's shooting the gun, the 7-year-old that plays me when I was little, is my son.
Yeah.
So, you know, he's an actor also. And just, I'm going to get behind his career and make sure that he has, you know, stability and he has opportunity to work when he gets older, so he doesn't have to worry about, you know, being without like I was when I was growing up. I just wanted to say one more thing. If you're still recording, I wanted to really, really, really congratulate Josh on the great stellar job that he did for his first feature film as a principal character. That's an amazing feat in of itself. And I felt like God couldn't have given me nobody better than that brother right there.
Thank you, my brother.
You did it
Look,
right.
hey, thank you both, man. It means the world to me to be able to tell your story, bro. I tell you this privately all the time, but I greatly appreciate you, man. And if I can add one thing, one of the beautiful things about A Polished Soul is that Mike told his story, and there are so many more stories that deserve to be told. You know, Hollywood seems to be such a tiny, such a tiny percentage of films and stories get told. And we need more Mike Andersons to tell their story because it's real, it's authentic, it's not contrived. And let's break through and tell more of those stories. And I'm proud to have told this one with you, Mike, and you, Byrd, and everybody else involved. Much love.
Much love, much love.